Hey man, Sam man, it's your boy J man. I'm back again with a brand new video on the channel. Basically for this video, we're gonna be breaking down what Philadelphia has to do in order to become a championship contender. Now, first on my list, you have to lock down James Harden long term. Do you have the ability to get a number that's not the Supermax to get James Harden to sign? Now, am I saying that James Harden is not a phenomenal player and he doesn't deserve the bag? He for sure deserves the bag. He's still giving you 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. That's still an outstanding stat line. But at this point in time, James Harden is no longer a Supermax player. He's no longer a Supermax player. He's visibly decreased. You can see the drop off in his game. Not saying that he's a bad player, not saying that he's still not a great player and still a good player. But the point of him being your second best guy on a championship contender team, I think that is no longer that James Harden. I think now he has to be the third option now. And the way he plays like a third option now. He doesn't really play like a guy who's going to put up 20 plus shots. That's really not him anymore. Not to fault him. Age, he's on the downhill instead of the uphill now. So you have to find, so Daryl Morey now has to find a number that James Harden is going to be comfortable with contract-wise. I mean, personally, I already know James Harden is going to come in there with that mindset of, I want the max. But at some point, I'm pretty sure James Harden knows that that's really not likely for him at this point. It's going to be very hard for Daryl Morey to pay somebody who's 32, I believe, at this point, on a 5-year, $200 and like arguably $50 million contract. That's going to be almost $50 million a year. It's going to be very hard to defend that, I would say. It'd be very hard to defend that and be reason. It'd be very hard. Me personally, I would be baffled by it. I would be straight up confused. Because if you sign him to that 5-year Supermax, you basically threw 5 years of Joel Embiid's career away. If that makes sense. Not just because if you sign him to that contract, you're literally trapped under that cap forever. By that time, Joel Embiid's going to be 32, 33, 34. You can't let that happen. You can't let it happen. Number 2 on my list, you have to figure out what you are going to do with Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris is not a bad player. He's a very solid player. Here's the best way I can summarize him. Insert the tweet here. If you need Tobias Harris to give you 17 to 18 points, he's going to get you 17 to 18 points. But if you need him to get you 25 points, he's going to get you 17 to 18 points. That's just who he is. Now, don't get me wrong. 17 to 18 points in the league is phenomenal. That's very great as a scoring option. That's very great. He does it on solid splits. You know, he shoots efficient from the field. He can do three-pointer, mid-range, paint, post up, pull up. He has the off the catch. He has it all. But he's not a star. So, like, he's in the middle between a role player and a star. He's like just a good player. He's a good player in the league. But is he somebody who, as a valuable scoring option, he can win you a championship? Me personally, I don't think so. You know, you have Tyrese Maxey. Maybe Tyrese Maxey can make that jump to averaging 22 to 23 points a game. But me personally, I just don't see Tyrese Maxey as that type of guy. I think he's a guy who can get you 16 to 18 and 19 points a game. So maybe Philadelphia tries to get Bradley Beal in a sign-and trade and use Tobias Harris as some picks possibly. Maybe you try and get Zach LaVine. Maybe you try and get Donovan Mitchell. Maybe you try and get those players and sign in trades. Because right now on that team, you got Tyrese Maxey and you got Embiid and you got partially James Harden. At this point in time, I just can't rely on James Harden. I just don't feel like he has it anymore in terms of being that guy who can go out and get you 30. Like, he had 30 in Game 5 against Philly. Then he responded and only took 2 shots in the second half against Miami. So, not saying that goes to show that he don't have it no more, but obviously, the James Harden who would just go out and say, I'm going to just get 30 and y'all just going to follow behind me, that's not happening no more. So, also, you have to find out if Matisse Diablo is going to make that jump in terms of being a 3-and-D player and being a wing defender. At this point in the NBA, for Matisse Diablo, per se, you just being able to defend and not being able to put the ball on the floor, not being able to shoot the ball, not being super athletic, just isn't gonna cut it. Am I saying Matisse is a bad player? No. But if you ask me, Matisse Diablo should be getting Danny Green's minutes. At one point, I tweeted, why is Danny Green still getting minutes a couple weeks ago? Answer the tweet. Danny Green is not. I would take Matisse Diablo over Danny Green defensive-wise because he's better defensively. Of course, Danny Green has the experience and such, but now since Danny Green tore his ACL, and the reason why he was getting the 20s is because Matisse Diablo wasn't developing his perimeter jump shot. And for that Philadelphia team, in order to win a championship, he is their best defender. And you cannot have your best defender off the floor because he is not aggressive wanting to shoot the ball. I'm not saying he has to go out and get 20 points, but you can hit me like 2 threes and like 2 dunks. That's 10 points. You can get me 10 to 12 points a night. Matisse can give me that. I know he can. All you gotta do is give me some backdoor cuts, get some transition threes, go run into the corner. James Harden will see you, sit in the corner, Joel Embiid's in the post, they double off you, you get some open threes. He can do it. He's very capable of doing it, but he has to have the confidence, the willingness, and the ability to shoot that 3. So right now, this offseason, that has to be #1 on his checklist. He has to get that 3-point shot down. Me personally, I personally don't think you can win a championship with Doc Rivers at this point. He's had way too many opportunities with way too many good teams. So at this point, he is who he is. I feel like a lot of people hold on to that 2008 championship he won, which, don't get me wrong, he was a part of it. I'm not discrediting him, but I mean, you had James Posey, Tony Allen, Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Kendrick Perkins, Eddie House. You had a very great team. In terms of being a basketball team from 1 through 12, you had an outstanding team that fit and they meshed and they had chemistry. So in that situation, of course, I'm going to give him the credit. He's a championship coach, but do I look at him as a top 15 or one of the greatest coaches to ever coach this game? No. Is Mike D'Antoni one of those guys? No. I feel like it also helps with James Harden's comfortability there because at that point, he has somebody who knows how James Harden plays. So it's just familiarity. Like, you have to get somebody off the bench who can give you some type of punch off the bench when the bench unit comes on. So you have to figure that out as well. Also, you know, they have to get another center for Embiid. Now, am I saying Embiid needs to get replaced or it's time to give up on Embiid? Hell no. I just think at this point we know Embiid's never going to be able to play a full 82. We know Embiid is more of a 60 to 65 game player. I believe he played around 70 plus games this year, so very impressive if he did. Jay put the number up here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I believe he played around the 70 game mark. We'll see if I was wrong. Maybe Paul Reed can step up and he can be the guy that provides the backup center minutes. I know a lot of Sixers fans were wanting him to get the backup minutes, so maybe you go for him. Maybe you try and see what Oklahoma City's doing, because I know Derek Favors just accepted his $10 million player option. Maybe you can get him as a backup guy off the bench. But they have a lot of guys on the bench like they don't play. Like, did y'all know Philadelphia had Paul Millsap? He's collecting free checks at this point. Philadelphia needs to look in the draft, in free agency, in the buyout market, in the trade market, sign and trade. They need to look at their options. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think Philadelphia should do, if they even have a chance. Let me know. Do you think Philadelphia, if they make moves and not their championship contender? Let me know in the comment section. And yeah, man, if you made this far on the video, go and like the video, go and subscribe if you're new, and go ahead and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload. And yeah, man, I'm out, bruh.